without them, it's been a long journey. It's been a lot of sacrifice, a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, and a lot of tears into this game of football, into my life. They sacrificed a lot of time, and I'm happy. They've been every step of the way. I can't thank them enough. And I also want to thank the Anacar family, Coach Bryce, Dr. Walsh. Thank y'all for letting me in. Over their arms. I can't express my feelings enough. That's it. I want to thank the football team for opening me. I want to congratulate all them boys right here, man. They've been through a lot, and I also want to thank my trainers, Coach Clyde, Coach BT Jar, and GLS Gary. They helped me along the way. With that being said, I'll be taking my titles to 3 to 4 years. USC, baby. Big y'all. Thank you, brother.
He's headed to USC. USC, their 6th top 15 ESPN 300 prospect in the last 5 cycles, tied for the 4th most with Texas and Georgia in that span. A huge get out west. You think, okay, maybe he'll stay locals, transfer to a couple of different schools there in New Orleans. Nope, spurning LSU. We're going out west. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think this is huge. You think at USC, what they have most needed for several years now, especially with the transition to the Big Ten, is to get better in the trenches, especially along the defensive line. You think of those heydays of the Trojans, Tom, when Pete Carroll was there.
Oh, yeah.
They were dominant along the defensive front. And even with the lack of experience, I think he still comes in and he makes an immediate impact again, even if it's just situational. USC did not put any players in the front 7 on the All-Big Ten first team.
Listen, he's different than what SC is currently playing with. So you're right. To have the opportunity to make an immediate impact, D'Anton Lynn, the new defensive coordinator, they did improve on defense at SC, although it wasn't the season that they would have liked to have had. But I will say this. This is what has been hindering SC. You touched on it, Craig. You've got to get people up front on both sides of the ball. The skill guys are great. But for SC to make that next leap, it starts with a guy like Jahkeem Stewart.
We have the Zachariah branches. Let's get it.
Absolutely.
Javion Hilson is going to make his announcement here in just a little bit. Much like Stewart, also plays on that defensive front, top 100 prospect, number 11 defensive end. What do we expect here, Luke?
Listen, he reminds me a lot of a taller version of Donovan Ezeraku at Boston College that just wreaks havoc. He's uber disruptive, and that first step explosiveness, Craig, I think is really, really strong.
Yeah, he's very agile. He doesn't, when you watch him, he doesn't have elite bend, but his feet are so quick he's able to slip around, and he's also got the power as well. 25 tackles for a loss, 15 sacks so far this season, and they're still playing as they're in the state title hunt.
Yeah, that's why I brought up Donovan Ezeraku. It's not just sacks, it's not just QB hurries, it's tackles and tackles for loss.
15 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, a couple of block kicks in 12 games this season. Let's go out to Cocoa High School there in Cocoa, Florida. Javion Hilson, one of the best defensive ends in the country, is ready to make his announcement. Javion, where is it going to be? The floor is yours.
Look, but first and foremost, I just want to thank God. I want to thank my family. I just want to thank my coaches. And, I just want to thank the teachers, all the guidance counselors, the booster clubs. I want to thank Mr. Morrow and Mrs. Morrow. They like mom and dad to me and stuff. Coming to every game and supporting me, being there during the season. I also want to thank Mr. Chapman. He been on me a lot. Keeping my grades up and all that. Being like father figure for me too. Make sure I stay on point in class. And, I want to thank Coach Snyder for believing me when I got here my sophomore year and stuff. I ain't believing myself. Kind of took me in and he was like, "You gonna be next." I just believe in his word and I just kept grinding. I also like to thank this man right here, Coach Foster Senior. Coming to pick me up like every day throughout the summertime, and he just been a big role model for me, like a dad to me and stuff. Broke the game down so simple for me and stuff. I also like to thank his son too, James Foster Jr. All the stuff you see on film comes from him, like the handwork, chasing the QBs down, going sideline to sideline. Also, and the track too. The track helped me a lot do all that. I also like to thank this man right here too, Coach Big Diesel. He came up with D1. I ain't believe I was going to go D1. As soon as I came inside the weight room, he said, "Yeah, that's D1 right there." And I also like to thank his son too, Coach Diesel, the best DC I had in my life. You know, he put me in one-on-one situations, you know, just to get after the QB, you know, make plays and stuff. And I also like to thank Coach Snyder right here, you know, again. And, you know, I like to thank everybody that came out and stuff too. But with that being said, for the next 3 or 4 years, I'll be taking my time to the University of, you ready? Where we at? Hold on, where we at with it? Hold up. University of Missouri.
Coach Eli Drinkwitz gets a good one there as Javion Hilson is going from Florida to Missouri, getting the congratulations there. Javion, not sure if you can hear me, but what was it about Missouri?
You said again?
What was it about Missouri?
It was just like when I first went up there, and it's just like, you know, going on campus, it felt like home. You know, it's like a place that with like no distractions at, I could fully lock in. And, you know, talking to Coach early, that's the DN coach, talking to Coach early, you know, just watching film with him, he was showing me like how he used me in the system. They see me as a jack, you know, dropping and rushing the passer. And, you know, I feel like watching this when he was showing me and stuff, you know, could put me in one-on-one situations, you know, to go in there, you know, be a true freshman, All-American, and, you know, be a big impact. That's what I look at and like you know, all the seniors leaving, and you know they need an elite edge rusher, so I feel like that was a perfect fit for me.
Javion Hilson, the SEC, headed to Missouri. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing the moment with us. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Javion Hilson again. Missouri, just their 6th top 100 ESPN 300 prospect in the last 5 seasons, and they get a good one here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you think about the SEC, you think about great defensive linemen, and he was a player who was at one point in a part of that Florida State class, wound up decommitting, going back out on the recruiting trail. And this is really big for Missouri because some of the things that Tom and I were just talking about, he could bring in. Again, he has the physical tools to be able to come in and compete right away. That first step quickness, the ability to play with pad level, that pop with his hands and those type of things. And again, he's playing for a really good program. He's played with a lot of good, against a lot of good competition that's kind of gotten him ready to this point.
Well, listen, for Missouri, this is 2 years in a row they've signed a top-tier defensive end along the defensive front, knowing full well that's how you're going to survive in that conference. And Eli Drinkwitz targeting guys that can separate themselves within the conference up front. You know Missouri's going to get skill guys. You know they're going to have a quarterback, but it begins and ends right there.
Now the holiday season, also known as flip season, we've seen some major flippage over the last few weeks, especially when it comes to the quarterback chase. Bryce Underwood flipping from LSU to Michigan. Julian Lewis, same day, commits to Colorado after decommitting from USC. Husan Longstreet flipped to USC from A&M. Brady Hart flips from Michigan to Texas A&M. So we've seen some quarterbacks change logos and change brands. Matt Schick, Tom Luginbill, and Craig Harvard. Let's sit here with Michigan and Underwood, the #1 player in the class. How significant is this commitment to the Wolverines?
Well, if you consider the season that Michigan had under center and the fact that they were playing with a walk-on and for all intents and purposes could not function in the passing game, I don't know if you can put a price tag, well, it's a pretty hefty price tag, on just how important this signing is for Michigan. Listen, he changes the position not just as a passer, but from an athleticism standpoint. He's going to arrive in that quarterback room, and he's going to have physical advantages. And the question is going to be, how can he develop and how quickly can he handle what is a steep learning curve? Because there is going to be probably more pressure on this player because of all of the numbers that have been thrown around as it relates to name, image, and likeness than any other player coming in as a freshman in college football. That's a lot to handle emotionally, mentally. His competitive temperament, his competitive toughness will all be challenged. But the physical attributes are off the charts, and they got to be tickled to death to have him.
I have Jaden Davis from last year. He redshirted, so pretty young quarterback room coming up after this season, the rotating cast that they had at quarterback. So the #1 quarterback, #1 player in the class. The #2 quarterback in the class is a player who was the #1 player in the 2026 class before he reclassified. Juju Lewis decommits from USC, now playing for Coach Prime. What are they getting?
Well, listen, they are getting the heir apparent to Shedeur Sanders. That was very needed for them. You know, to lose Shedeur Sanders and to lose Travis Hunter, those are 2 key pieces to try to replace. So they get an elite quarterback. And I think for Julian Lewis. He's a player who's been on the scene since like 8th grade. He's been on the recruiting radar. And I think he's been around so long that sometimes when you get built up, people want to knock you down. But when you look at his numbers as a senior, he's thrown for over 3,000 yards for the second year in a row. He's completing 76% of his passes with 44 touchdowns, all right? And he has 4 interceptions, 2 more than he threw a year ago. One of the things I liked when I've seen him in person, I've seen him a few times over the last 2 years, is he does a great job of shaking off mistakes. And you're going to need that when you're playing for Deion Sanders, because when you make a mistake, he's going to let you know. So he's got a short memory. He's also coached in high school by Joey King, who coached Trevor Lawrence in high school. So he's had really good coaching. I think this is one of the better or most needed fits, as much like you have with Bryce Underwood, Michigan, that you need at the quarterback position. And he's going to get great coaching from Pat Shurmur.
And they're going to get better around him.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They've gotten better in the offensive line. They're going to have good skill around him, and then he's going to have to make that leap.
Well, and that created a lot of momentum in the cycle. We got a few more ESPN 300 prospects as well. Mention some flips there you saw in the graphic. Brady Hart flipping. Hadn't visited Texas A&M until very recently, but then says, you know what, that's good enough. Took the family down, and he's headed to College Station to play for Coach Elko.
Well, the dominoes fall because he was a Michigan commit.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he was a Michigan kid in commit in the 2026 class.
Yeah, so he's a reclass
So
too.
he wound up reclassing up and then going to Texas A&M. And I don't think he's at an outstanding high school as a teammate with Javion Hilson. He's played some really good football. We've seen him in person here, Tom, at the Future 50 event this summer. He's got all the physical tools. He's not a plug-and-play guy, but you need to continue to build that quarterback room and have players that you could develop.
Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, who's the number 81 player in the ESPN 300, one of the top outside linebackers out of IMG Academy. He's going to make his announcement here in a moment. What do we need to know about him?
That he's a nickel linebacker that might not have ideal size in terms of the measurable standard, but he can play very close to the line of scrimmage. He can play as a weak side linebacker. He can also play, in my opinion, as a safety. Plays a lot of zone with his high school football team, but he is, as Craig just put it in our last break, see ball, get ball type of guy. Runs extremely well, and it's going to be interesting to see how much bigger does he get for the next level, because we're seeing more and more linebackers like this that play in a variety of roles. I mean, look at the cover skills, the ability to run in the open field, stay on the field. From a linebacker perspective, he's just really agile and athletic, and they ask him to do an awful lot. And I think when you're his size, it gives you an opportunity to be moved around a lot within the defense, and you better know where he's at.
He's down to Colorado, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC, Ohio State. You can see the logos, or at least the names there. We've got some hats on a table here. Let's go right out to Mr. Boateng, who is there with his mother and father. That's Martha and Andrews Owusu-Karmara. Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, before we get started here, before we begin our fireside chat, Nathaniel, explain the garment that you're wearing and why that's so important.
Yeah, so I like to believe that I'm not African because I'm from Africa, or my parents are from Africa, but Africa lives within me. So that's why I am wearing the garments today, to express my culture, to express my country, to show that Ghana to the world, right? Just to put my country on the platform. So, yes, sir.
Very good. Very impressive. All right, so there's one more garment, a little clothing that you're going to add coming up. One of those 5 hats. What's it going to be? The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. So first and foremost, I want to thank Jesus Christ. Without him, I would not be here today. I want to thank my mom, my dad, Cliff Hill, Don Zloty from IMG Academy. And most importantly, I want to thank the village that is here today, because it takes a village to raise one. So everybody who's here today and everybody who couldn't make it today, I thank y'all for being a part of this process. But for the 3 to 4 years, I will be going to Michigan University.
Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng is headed to Michigan, the big Block M there in Ann Arbor. Why Michigan, Nathaniel?
Well, I chose like Michigan for a multitude of reasons. One, just because of the way that the coaches dealt with my family all throughout the process. Like my mom loved it. Like the family loved it. So they definitely made the family feel like home. Another reason why I chose Michigan is not just because of the football bit, but life after football, right? Because when you're done with football, what are you going to do? So life after football at Michigan is amazing. The academics are amazing. Life after football is amazing. And ultimately, holistically, it was the best option for me. I didn't have to sacrifice nothing. I didn't have to put nothing on the table because Michigan had me. They treat me like family. They treat my family like family as well. So that's why it's Go Blue. Those who stay will be champions. So Go Blue.
Nice win over Ohio State, and they capture that, plant the flag, and then get another blue chip prospect here with Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. Not a bad week, Craig Hobart. Your reaction?
Yeah, as Tommy said, the way you described him too, you had mentioned it too as well. He almost gives a little bit of that Jabril Peppers vibe.
Yeah.
And the versatility that he can bring. And again, defense wins championships. You got an outstanding quarterback. Well, it's not always easy to try to outshoot everybody on the field when you're trying to win games. You bring him on the defensive side of the ball. You talked about some of the skill set that he has. Some of the other things that stood out to me, he tackles very well in space. He wraps up. And even though a lot of the times he is in space in zone coverage, those few times that he needs to take on blockers, he's got really quick hands. He's able to quickly shed and play the run. I still think his best football is ahead of him, and I think that's what's really exciting for Michigan as he cycled through all of his options there.
Yes, he did. Awesome kid. Yeah. Awesome kid as well, acknowledging everyone who helped along the way with the parents there.
What's interesting is this day and age, we ask how things change. Always the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
It takes on a whole new meaning in a transfer portal era, doesn't it?
So you think they should say it in the next 1 to 2 years?
Maybe, yeah.
I'd say next 3 to 4
To be
months.
determined, yeah.
Next 3 to 4 months is how it could be. Congratulations to Nathaniel. Speaking of the Big Ten, there was some big recruiting news today where we had 5-star Naeem Offord, who was going to make an announcement for Ohio State. At least he was committed there back in February. Eli Letterman, who covers recruiting for ESPN, joins us now. 5-star, #1 corner. What happened today, Eli?
It was the recruiting stunner of the day. Naeem Offord has been flirting with a flip from Ohio State really all fall. You mentioned it, committed to Ohio State since February, top defender in the country. But if anywhere, going into today, we thought he was going to flip, it was going to be Auburn. And in the end, a bit of a surprise. He hadn't been to Oregon since the fall. Naeem Offord ends up with the Ducks, and he's now the top defender and second-ranked prospect in an Oregon class that is trending way up today. And this continues the recruiting battles between Oregon and Ohio State. They've intensified in recent years, and they're only going to go up in the Big Ten, and this is easily the biggest to this point.
Oh, really interesting. We were expecting some other flips today. Did we see what we expected?
There will be flips, and there have been to this point, but some of the biggest ones, you're talking about Dallas Wilson, an Oregon wide receiver who had been, had all the Florida schools take a run at him. Lincoln Cure, Kansas State played where Oregon was taking a run at him, the tight end. And Tavian Wallace, Arkansas's top prospect. All three came in today as guys that we might have said expected to go elsewhere, expected to move. All three stayed put. And, on a day like this, it can be as much the flips that do happen as the ones that don't, that impact these classes.
One more announcement to do here. Interesting story. Tobi Haastrup, who he's out of Houston. He's with us now. He's going to make his announcement out of Maid Creek and just started playing football over the last 4 months, and now he's going to make an announcement here. Tobi, where's it going to be? It's all yours.
Yes, sir. Coach Mike, let's get it. Say it loud, say it loud.
It's in the music. We're waiting. There's a DJ. There's a DJ there who's going to be playing some music. Or is it close, Tobi? We got like 2 minutes left. Is it close?
Okay. So quickly, God bless Coach Norville from FSU. God bless Coach Jerk from Mizzou. God bless Coach Riley from USC. God bless Coach Landon from Oregon. God bless Coach Moore. And God bless Coach McGuire. And I'll be taking my journey to it will be Oregon.
What a day for the Oregon Ducks. Tobi Haastrup, born in London, moved to California with his family 8 years ago, then went to Texas, was running track, gave football a try, and now he's headed to the Ducks. Tobi, not sure if you can hear me. Why was it the Ducks? Tobi, why the Ducks? It's a little loud there. It's a little loud there for Tobi. Understood. But what a pickup there, and what a day for Coach Dan Lanning.
Yeah, I mean, that is huge. And he's a player who just started playing this fall. And you watch him on film, and he does not seem like a player who just started playing football. That is the wow factor. And he's still only going to get better. Oregon doesn't care the why. They're just glad he's coming.
He can run. He's long. He plays defensive end. And his ceiling's about way up here. He don't know yet.
Yeah.
Remember, they got Naeem Offord earlier today as well. I mean, think about what they're adding there.
Corey and Moore at wideout. 2 quarterbacks in the class.
Be just fine in the Big Ten.